Welcome to another CFMC pop-up grant video. This is once again celebrating our wonderful partnership with Whelan Engineering. We're just so thrilled to get to meet yet another fabulous nonprofit in our region, nominated by team members at Whelan Engineering at the Connecticut site. And Rebecca Santoli, did I pronounce that right?
Yes.
Santoli of the Tommy Fund is joining us today. And let's start with a big thank you to Kevin and Carol Dugan. They were the nominators for this pop-up grant from Whelan's fund with us. Rebecca, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you, Wieland and the Dugan family.
Well, we are just like, as I said, we get to meet the greatest nonprofits. I mean, we know a lot of nonprofits, but we get to meet so many more thanks to the team at Whelan who are nominating their favorite nonprofits. So, Rebecca, tell us a little bit about the Tommy Fund. How did you get started? What is it? What's your mission?
Absolutely. So thanks again for having me. The Tommy Fund has actually been around for 73 years, this 2026. So that's very exciting. I personally have not been around that long, but it's an amazing Connecticut-based charity. We're solely affiliated with Smilow Cancer Hospital and Yale hospital programs across Connecticut in support of pediatric cancer families, patients, and the hospital team there. So for over the 70 years, the work of the Tommy Funds looked very different, but I can speak to our current day model, which is, I would say, 75% of our work and our fundraising and support goes to support patients and families with whatever they need during their cancer diagnosis. So if they need mortgage assistance, they need a bill paid, a copay at Yale that is exorbitant because they had multiple procedures. The Tommy Fund steps in and helps those families directly. And then the other third, if you will, part of our work is grants to the hospital itself. And the seventh floor, if you've ever, hopefully you'll never have to be in Smilow Cancer Hospital in New Haven, but the seventh floor clinic there is called the Tommy Fund Pediatric Hematology and Oncology Center. And that was because when Smilow was being built, we offered up $1 million to support the pediatric unit and make it, a little bit more family friendly, pediatric centered. We gave some money to fellows that were up and coming doctors in the field of pediatric oncology. And every day, the team there comes to me and says, would you help us with XYZ? And then, so like this week, actually, we're doing a night of remembrance with the Child Life team. So we're supporting the food there for the families that may have lost or did unfortunately lose a child this year in the last 12 months. So every
Oh,
day looks a little different, and we're just thrilled to support these families during what is really the hardest time of their lives.
that's just incredible. And thank you for doing that because as you said, it's such a difficult thing to go through, particularly with a child, and to know that there's a group, a team who is specifically focused on the supports needed, particularly the financial supports. So thank you for doing that. That's just
Thank you.
incredible.
Thank you. Yeah, I
Rebecca,
can't take any credit.
how long have you been
Oh,
involved?
yes. So I've been with the Tommy Fund. It'll be almost 4 years. So it's been a beautiful journey, and I've gotten to know so many patients and families directly, and feel and touch the work that we're doing, every day, which is so unique. I've been a nonprofit for a long time, and I know every dollar that's being spent and where it's going, and it's really special. So
Yeah.
fortunate to be here.
Yeah. Now, how do you connect with the families? Does Smilo Yale actually make the connection, or
Yeah.
is it the pediatrician, the oncologist? How do you find, or how do the families find out that you could potentially be there to help them?
Sure. So the social work team is kind of the gatekeepers, if you will. at the hospital to let us know that a family needs us, and they kind of vet everyone, not because, we question their need. It's more that when is the right time for support? So like if it's someone that was just diagnosed on Monday, give them a little time and space to worry about the other stuff, like so they know really that balance of when and if it's appropriate to reach out to us. So we trust them and lean on them for that. There is an application process. It's super easy. We've never turned anyone away. They could be doctors, lawyers, philanthropists, and we still want to help them, no matter what that looks like. So there's a quick application, social work gives it to us. But, if the doctor, or the PA or the nurse is the one that sees that family in that vulnerable moment that says, have you thought about the support of the Tommy Fund? Everyone luckily is our advocate and shares our message within the walls of the hospital. And then outside the walls of the hospital, it could be a parent to a parent saying, did you know about the Tommy Fund? Or, reach out to them. They're here for you, like a mentorship almost, having them been through it. And
Wow.
then, obviously we try our best to be good marketers and have a website and those things online, but
Right.
yeah.
And Rebecca, how large of a staff do you have?
It's just two of us.
Okay.
So, I would say usually she's here with me, but we're not together today. So it's myself and my colleague Michelle. And we really only became full-time this year. So
Um,
it's grown over time. Really, it was solely for 70 plus years, volunteer, grassroots driven work. And there was an administrator in the hospital that actually managed the Tommy's Fund, wrote the checks, and he worked directly for Smilo. So just since COVID, did we put more of a full-time stamp on it, if you will. And in the last year, my colleague Michelle and I have been doing full-time. I've been here full-time for 4 years, but she joined me. So it's great.
So obviously you rely on volunteers a lot. What do volunteers do with you? How, if someone was interested, what are some of the opportunities that they have?
Sure. So, I mean, that looks different every day as well. We do a lot of fundraising and programmatic events. So those are labor intensive. And so we need day of event support. So that's, someone that wants to come in, give an hour, give 4 hours, that could look different each event and program. So we encourage you to reach out to myself and we can make that work. I have volunteers who help me. It's little, things with my thank you letters. And she's an amazing help to me, Jane, and she helps me get those acknowledgments out. And she loves office work, so that's a way that she can support us. I have a tutor. We give educational support to our patients and families in the walls of the hospital with an education coordinator who's paid by Yale, and we help fund his work. But now we're expanding to a tutoring offshoot location for those patients that are maybe doing a little bit better, returning to school. So we have a tutor that's a trained educator with a master's degree giving free tutoring services. So volunteers are the lifeline and our life, keeping us moving. And so I encourage volunteers to come to me and say, I have this talent, I have this treasure, can I help? And then we can figure it out and see how to best use those services and help. So yes, we love volunteers.
Yes, we all love volunteers. They are
Yeah.
essential. They really
Yeah.
are.
so Rebecca, can you tell us about the tutoring program?
Yeah, so actually we've been funding two Yale University students, undergrad students, to work with Justin, the education coordinator of the hospital, to give bedside tutoring the last 2 years. So they go in, work right in the room with the patient and the family, just so there's not a too much of a lapse in education during treatment. There's days that, they say, I can't do anything, can't focus on this, obviously, and we respect that, but we also just want them to know that we're there to support them so there's not so much lapse in education. But this year we've added, like I mentioned, a tutoring center. So our offices are located in Shelton, Connecticut at the Sports Center. If anybody knows the area, and we're going to be actually making a physical tutoring desk and desks starting October 9th, where Jenna, the educator, is going to give assistance in literacy and math support. And working with Justin to work with the school districts to say this is where this child, needs support coming back to school. So we're excited. It kind of goes along with our back to school support. We give out book packs and school supplies year round because back to school could technically be in March. It may not be in August, so we have our supplies supports that we give, and now the tutoring and the tutors in the hospital. So it's a big, robust program. It's growing for us. We felt that there was a lack in education support for pediatric cancer. There's not a lot of groups doing that specific niche work, so we wanted to be there in that way as well.
So I have to tell you, Jennifer and I were exploring your website, which is very informative. And we always do. We like to get to know, who we're going to talk to, because it's always just a lot of fun to see if there's something. So you have to tell us about Hats for Hope, because if I understand what I saw on your website, the schools are doing this, which means the students are actively doing something to show their support. Is that what it is?
Yeah, that was a perfect segue from our tutoring and our education work, so that's actually where the funds come from to support the education component for our patients. So Hats for Hope is a real grassroots at its best fundraising across Connecticut. And I think, I want to say this will be our fourth year of the program. And there was a gap of time during COVID where we didn't go into schools, so it started before then even, but it didn't go off the ground. And yes, it's schools across Connecticut can pick a day of their choice that works with their school calendar and encourage their students to wear hats for hope. They pay $1 or more donation to wear a hat to school. And that kind of works on two levels. A lot of schools don't allow hats in schools for safety reasons and precautions. So it's like the one day a year where a kid can wear a baseball cap or a fun hat. So the kids kind of rally behind it because it's a unique opportunity. You don't feel the dollar per se, that they're donating, but that grows, right? So the more people giving that dollar makes a huge impact. And last year's school year raised about $100,000 for the Tommy Fund.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
Through 102 schools
Wow.
participating and 2 summer camps. So we actually expanded to summer programs, and that, with the hope of growing that as well. And yeah, it's great because, the reason behind the hat is obviously our patients, when they're in treatment, they may not have hair and they're
Yeah.
wearing hats. So it's showing that alignment that they're there to show support to them. And it's, as you probably know or may know, there's not enough funding for research in pediatric cancer because it is rare. Um, because it's rare, people don't know, a child in an elementary school may not know that their classmate could get this, right? Like they may not even be aware that there's a childhood cancer. So it's an educational program as well for the schools to share about pediatric cancer. We go in and do assemblies and talk to them about our work and pediatric cancer. So they're learning as they're participating, and it's a great program. We're lucky that it's really taken off, and we have some really good support and incentives. We have partnership with UConn Athletics that supports it. So it gives them a motivator because the winning school that raises the most money at the end of the school year gets a visit from UConn. And so great day. It takes up a lot of work. So again, to those volunteers, if anyone wants to
Right.
go with us and recruit a school or speak to a school, we need help in that space too. Because for September, I don't know if you're aware, but it's Childhood Cancer Awareness Month this month. So a
Okay.
lot of schools sign up to do it the end of September. One, because of that, they want to show support for pediatric cancer awareness, but they also can't do it at the beginning of the month because they're just getting back to school. So 1 week of the month, we're like, 20 schools. So
Right.
anyone wants to join us, we'll be around the state at the end of
Terrific.
the month. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's wonderful. And a big thank you to the 100+ schools and camps that last year that supported you and hopefully will continue this year.
Absolutely.
That's just truly remarkable.
Thank you. Yeah, we can't thank them enough, and certainly opportunities like this, we can't thank you guys enough either because every bit helps.
We appreciate all you do, you
I
know,
know it
amazing.
is.
Thank you.
It's just great work. So is there anything else about the Tommy Fund you would want viewers of our pop-up video to know about you? Anything that we should have asked or forgot to ask?
Sure. I mean, I think, the fact that I get to speak to you today and the employees are hearing about our mission. Certainly employee groups can get together and help us as well. I mean, you're doing it by supporting us with this grant, but from an employee coming out, working together, we work with groups like AAA, JP Morgan Chase, where they'll come as like a day off, quote unquote, where you give back as a volunteer. So there's those kind of opportunities too to any of the employees that want to give back
Oh, wonderful.
their time.
Great. Well, we do want to once again thank Kevin and Carol Dugan
Yes,
for
thank you.
nominating you and letting us have an opportunity to get to know you. And thank Wheelan Engineering for their partnership with the Community Foundation through these pop-up grants. And we really do, we appreciate all of the employees at both Wheelan sites that nominate their favorite nonprofits. And it really is a fun opportunity. So is there anything else that you would like to say either to Kevin and Carol and or to Wheelan Engineering?
Yeah, no, certainly, Wheelan, thank you so much for this opportunity, this support. We couldn't do it without you, and I would love to stay involved with you over time, certainly, and certainly thank the Community Foundation as well for being the catalyst to make it all come together. So thank you. And the Dugan family, I got the pleasure of seeing them recently at our Closer to Free bike ride that went through Connecticut. They were there, and I'm giving them my best too. So.
Wonderful. Well, Rebecca, thank you so much for joining us. It's been very interesting to learn more about your work, and thank you for what you and your fellow team members are doing to support families going through pediatric cancer, because that's just, that alone is enough to just be really heartbreaking, and to know there are people that care and support truly makes a difference.
Thank you so much. And you mentioned our website. I'd be remiss. Feel free, everybody, to visit tommyfund.org to learn more and stay involved. And yes, thank you so much. I'm blessed to be here.
Wonderful. All right. Thank you. Have a good day.
You too.